The Fall of Rome, a Cosmic Perspective. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You know, when we look up at the night sky, we're not just seeing stars, we're seeing history. Each point of light represents a sun, perhaps with planets of its own, on a timeline spanning billions of years. And just like the cosmos, civilizations rise and fall here on Earth. For centuries, the Roman Empire stood as the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. Its military power was unmatched, its economy thrived, and its culture shaped the foundations of the Western world. But despite its immense strength, Rome fell. And its fall wasn't sudden, it was the result of centuries of decline. Today, we're diving deep into the reasons behind the collapse of the Roman Empire, separating myth from reality and uncovering the crucial lessons we can learn from it today. Because believe it or not, the same forces that toppled empires millennia ago are still at play in our modern world. Now, you might imagine the fall of Rome as some epic Hollywood blockbuster with barbarian hordes crashing through the gates. And while external pressures certainly played a role, the seeds of destruction were often sown from within. You see, empires are like stars. They burn bright, but over time, they consume their own fuel. One of the biggest culprits? Political corruption. As the Roman Empire grew, so did its bureaucracy. And with that growth came opportunities for greed and abuse of power. Ambitious generals saw opportunities not in serving Rome, but in serving themselves, vying for power and plunging the empire into civil wars. Think about it. When your own leaders are more interested in personal gain than the well-being of the people, the whole system starts to crumble. And speaking of crumbling, let's talk about the economy. Rome's once mighty economy, fueled by conquest and trade, began to falter. Constant wars drained the treasury, while over-reliance on slave labor stifled innovation and productivity. Imagine a society where the very foundation of its workforce prevents progress, a recipe for stagnation and decline. To make matters worse, Rome became increasingly dependent on foreign mercenaries to defend its vast borders. This might seem like a convenient solution at first, but it's like outsourcing your immune system. You become vulnerable to the whims and loyalties of outsiders. These internal problems, political instability, economic woes, and over-reliance on external forces created a perfect storm that weakened Rome from the inside out. It's a stark reminder that even the mightiest empires are vulnerable to the erosion of their core principles. Now, while Rome was grappling with its internal demons, a new threat emerged on the horizon. From the depths of Eurasia, a storm was brewing. Waves of nomadic tribes, driven by climate change and seeking new lands, began to test the empire's defences. These weren't just disorganised raiders. Groups like the Goths and the Huns were skilled warriors with their own ambitions. Think of it like this. You've got a house with a leaky roof and cracks in the foundation. You might be able to patch things up for a while, but a strong enough storm will expose all those weaknesses. And that's what happened to Rome. The empire that once repelled Hannibal at the gates found itself overwhelmed by a constant barrage of invasions. The Goths, fleeing the Huns, were initially seeking refuge within Roman borders, but mistreatment and broken promises turned them into a powerful enemy, culminating in the sack of Rome in 410 AD. This wasn't just a military defeat. It was a symbolic blow that shattered the aura of Roman invincibility. The Huns, led by the fearsome Attila, posed another existential threat. Attila was like a force of nature, sweeping across Europe with his mounted warriors, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. While Rome, along with its Visigoth allies, managed to defeat Attila at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, it was a Pyrrhic victory. The empire was already on its knees. These external threats weren't just about brute force. They exposed the fragility of Rome's overextended borders and the consequences of neglecting diplomacy and alliances. It's a lesson that resonates even today. Ignoring growing threats or failing to address the root causes of conflict can have devastating consequences. Chapter 4. the role of cultural and social changes. Now you might be wondering, how did a civilization that once built roads, aqueducts, and a legal system that influenced the world crumble so completely? Well, here's the thing about empires. They're not just built on bricks and mortar, but on shared values, a sense of identity, and a belief in something larger than oneself. And as Rome expanded, that sense of shared identity began to fracture. The empire, once a relatively homogeneous society, became a melting pot of cultures, languages, and religions. While diversity can be a strength, in Rome's case it also led to social divisions and a weakening of the traditional values that held the empire together. Think of it like the difference between a wolf pack and a herd of sheep. A wolf pack is a tight-knit unit, with each member playing a specific role for the survival of the group. A herd of sheep, on the other hand, is more concerned with individual survival, making it easy prey for predators. Rome's citizens, once known for their civic duty and martial spirit, became increasingly detached from the affairs of the state. Indulgence, apathy, and a decline in civic engagement became rampant. Why sacrifice for the empire when its glory seemed like a distant memory? This erosion of traditional values had a profound impact on the Roman military. The legions, once the pride of Rome, were increasingly filled with foreign mercenaries who lacked the discipline and loyalty of their Roman predecessors. It's like replacing the foundation of your house with sand. It might look the same on the surface, but it won't stand the test of time. This cultural shift, this loss of a shared identity and purpose, was just as devastating as any barbarian invasion. It's a reminder that true strength lies not just in military might, but in the cultural and social fabric that binds a society together. Historical records show that by the 3rd century AD, the Roman Empire was already struggling with internal strife and economic instability. The devaluation of Roman currency and rampant inflation further eroded the economic stability of the empire. Political corruption and the constant power struggles within the Senate weakened the central authority. The rise of Christianity also played a role, as it shifted the focus away from the traditional Roman gods and the emperor's divine status. This religious transformation created further divisions within the empire, as not everyone embraced the new faith. In the end, the combination of these cultural and social changes created a perfect storm that led to the fall of one of history's greatest empires. Chapter 4. The Eastern Roman Empire, a surviving twin. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so Rome fell, end of story, right? Not quite. You see, the Roman Empire was like a two-headed coin. While the Western Roman Empire crumbled under the weight of its own problems, the Eastern Roman Empire, centered on Constantinople, not only survived but thrived for another 1,000 years. So, what did the Eastern Romans do differently? Well, for starters, they had a few geographical advantages. Constantinople was strategically located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, making it a hub for trade and difficult to conquer. Think of it like having a backup generator. When the power goes out in one part of the empire, the other part can keep the lights on. But geography alone wasn't enough. The Eastern Roman emperors were also more adept at adapting to the changing times. They reformed the tax system, strengthened the military, and embraced cultural and religious changes. They understood that survival depended on evolution, on learning from the mistakes of the West. One of the most significant changes was the rise of Christianity as the dominant religion. Emperor Constantine's conversion to Christianity in the 4th century AD had a profound impact on the empire, providing a unifying force and a new moral framework. It's like upgrading your operating system. It might take some getting used to, but it can lead to greater stability and resilience. The Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, proved that even in the face of overwhelming odds, adaptation and reform could mean the difference between survival and oblivion. It's a testament to human ingenuity and the ability to learn from the past. Ultra lessons from a fallen empire. So, as we've seen, the fall of Rome wasn't some singular catastrophic event. It was the culmination of centuries of internal decay, external pressures, and cultural shifts. It's a story of hubris, of an empire that became a victim of its own success, forgetting the principles that made it great. But it's also a story of resilience, of adaptation, and the enduring power of human civilization. The Eastern Roman Empire's survival reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always the possibility of renewal and transformation. So as we look at modern superpowers, we must ask, are we repeating the same mistakes, or will we learn from history? What do you think? Is today's world following the same path as Rome? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more videos from Understanding the World. See you in the next one.